The transport shuttle rattled through atmospheric entry, and Maya Chen pressed her forehead against the cold viewport, watching 3 moons rise over the alien horizon. She'd left Earth 6 months ago with nothing but a duffel bag and a scholarship to the most prestigious combat academy in the known galaxy. Now, staring at the bioluminescent forests of Kalar Prime, she wondered if she'd made a terrible mistake. First time off-world? The voice belonged to a Thraxian sitting 2 rows back, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking as he shifted. His translator rendered his words in flat, emotionless English. That obvious? Maya didn't turn around. You have that look. Wide eyes. Shallow breathing. Fear disguised as wonder. I'm not afraid. The Thraxian made a sound like grinding metal. Laughter? Maybe. Everyone says that before they see what the Academy does to washouts. Maya finally glanced back. The alien was massive, easily 3 meters tall, even-seated, with compound eyes that reflected the cabin lights in fractal patterns. You a student too? 2nd year. Tactical Division. You? Combat Specialist Track. The clicking intensified. Definitely laughter. A human? In Combat Specialist. That's rich. Most of your kind wash out in the first week. Wrong gravity. Wrong atmospheric pressure. Wrong bone density. Earth might be a hellhole by galactic standards, but it doesn't prepare you for real training. Maya turned back to the window. She'd heard variations of this speech 100 times during the selection process. Humans were fragile. Humans were slow. Humans broke easily. The fact that Earth was classified as a Class 12 Deathworld meant nothing to species who'd evolved on garden planets with 0.7 standard gravity and breathable atmospheres that didn't actively try to kill you. Thanks for the vote of confidence, she said. Just being realistic. No offense intended. None taken. Maya smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'll try not to die too quickly. The shuttle touched down with a hydraulic hiss. Through the viewport, the Kalar Prime Combat Academy sprawled across a plateau like a small city. Crystalline structures caught the light of the planet's yellow sun, and training grounds stretched to the horizon, dotted with obstacle courses that looked designed by sadists with advanced engineering degrees. Maya grabbed her duffel and joined the flow of students disembarking. The gravity hit her immediately, nearly 20% heavier than Earth's standard. Her knees buckled slightly, before her muscles compensated. Around her, aliens of a dozen species moved with ease. Thraxians, Velcor, Synth, Drayan, species she couldn't even name. She was the only human in sight. The orientation lasted 3 hours. Commandant Vex, a Velcar with silver scales and eyes like liquid mercury, explained the rules in a voice that could cut steel. No special accommodations, no exceptions, based on species. Succeed or transfer to civilian education. The Academy maintained a 62% attrition rate, and Vex seemed proud of that number. You will be sorted into combat groups of 6, Vex continued, his tail swishing behind him like a metronome. These groups will train together, compete together, and fail together if necessary. Trust is not optional. Neither is excellence. Maya was assigned to Group 17. She found them in the barracks, a converted hangar with sleeping pods stacked 3 high. Her new teammates looked thrilled to see her. They sent us a human. The speaker was Crag, a Drayan whose crimson skin seemed to pulse with suppressed aggression. He stood 2.5 meters tall, all muscle and arrogance. What's next, a Prelian infant? Greg, be civil. The reprimand came from Sura, a synth whose serpentine lower body coiled beneath her humanoid torso. Her voice carried the sibilant edge of her species. She passed the entrance trials. That counts for something. Passing trials in reduced gravity simulation doesn't count for much here. Crag folded his arms, each bicep thicker than Maya's thigh. I've seen the statistics. Humans don't last. The other 3 team members said nothing. Jex, a Thraxian engineer type, examined Maya like she was a mechanical problem to solve. Run and Talvor, both Velcor, simply looked disappointed. Maya dropped her duffel on an unclaimed sleeping pod. Well, this is going to be fun. Fun isn't the objective, Crag said. Winning is. And you're a liability. Then I guess you'll have to carry my fragile human weight. Maya climbed into her pod and sealed the privacy screen. Behind the translucent barrier, she let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been helling. Training began the next morning at dawn. The instructors didn't ease anyone into the curriculum. They threw Group 17 into a live fire exercise in terrain that shifted between swamp, desert, and Arctic tundra every 20 minutes. Maya's environmental suit compensated for temperature, but the gravity never let up, and the simulated enemy drones didn't care about species limitations. She struggled. God, how she struggled. Every step felt like wading through concrete. Her reaction times, lightning fast on Earth, seemed glacial here. Cragg saved her life twice in the first hour, his massive frame absorbing weapons fire that would have vaporized her. "Stay behind me," he growled during a brief respite. "You're slowing us down." Maya wanted to argue, but her lungs burned too badly for words. She nodded instead. They failed the exercise. Badly. Group 17 placed 42nd out of 50 teams, and the instructors made sure everyone knew it. That night, Maya lay in her pod and considered quitting. The Academy provided transport back to Earth for washouts. No questions asked, no shame attached. She could go home, finish her degree at a normal university, live a normal life. Nobody would blame her for trying and failing. She thought about her mother's face when she'd told her about the scholarship, the pride, the fear, the certainty that Maya was special enough to succeed where others had failed. "Screw it," Maya whispered to the darkness. If she was going to fail, it wouldn't be from lack of effort. She started adapting. Earth's higher gravity had given her denser bones, stronger tendons, more efficient cardiovascular systems than most species. But here, that advantage was negated. So she had to get smarter, faster, more strategic. During the second week, Group 17 ran an urban combat scenario. Instead of trying to match Cragg's brute force or Sura's speed, Maya focused on angles and timing. She used her smaller size to navigate spaces the others couldn't reach. When a simulated enemy squad cornered them in an alley, she scaled a vertical wall using handholds too small for Thraxian fingers and flanked their position from above. Cragg stared at her afterward. "That was unexpected." "Humans are climbers," Maya said, checking her weapon. "It's what we do." Their ranking improved. 31st, 26th, 19th. The team started listening when she offered tactical suggestions. Jax even asked her opinion on a demolition sequence, and her answer saved them from a catastrophic failure during an engineering challenge. But Cragg still watched her like she was a grenade with a faulty pin. The tournament announcement came at the end of the third month. Every year the Academy hosted a grand melee, a brutal free-for-all where teams competed in elimination rounds until only one remained. The winning team received honors, privileges, and guaranteed placement in elite military units across the galaxy. "We're entering," Cragg announced during a team meeting. Nobody argued. "We have 2 months to prepare. That means twice daily training strategy sessions, and no distractions." They trained like demons. Maya pushed herself past every limit she thought she had, then found new ones to break. The enhanced gravity stopped feeling like an enemy, and started feeling like home. Her reaction times sharpened. Her aim improved. She learned to anticipate how different species moved, where they were vulnerable, how they thought. Group 17 climbed to 12th in the overall rankings. Then 8th, then 5th. Cragg started treating her differently. Not quite with respect, but something closer to acknowledgement. "You're not completely useless," he said after she'd single-handedly held a choke point against 3 enemy teams during a training scenario. "High praise," Maya replied, reloading her pulse rifle. "I'm touched. Don't let it go to your head. You're still the weakest link. Then maybe the chain's stronger than you think." The tournament brackets were announced a week before the event. Group 17 drew a favorable position, facing mid-tier teams in the early rounds. If they survived to the semi-finals, they'd likely face Group 3 led by Vex's own son, Drax. The Velkar prodigy had never lost a tournament match in 2 years. "We can take them," Sator said, studying the brackets with her vertical slit pupils. "If we're smart, if we coordinate perfectly, we have a chance." "We'll need more than a chance," Talvor muttered. "Drax is undefeated for a reason." The opening ceremony was pure spectacle. 10,000 students packed the main arena, and the holographic displays showed highlights from previous tournaments. Maya watched warriors of 100 species demonstrate skills that defied physics. Thraxians who could bend durasteel with their bare claws, Drayan who moved faster than her eyes could track, Velkor, whose tactical processors could calculate victory conditions in microseconds. And then there was her, human. Deathworlder by classification, but still just 5'6" and 70 kilograms of flesh and bone that felt inadequate next to literal giants. The first match was almost embarrassing. Group 17 tore through their opponents, a team of Prelian scholars who'd somehow qualified but clearly didn't belong in combat competition. The second match was harder, a close victory against a skilled but overconfident synth squad. The third match pushed them to their limits, a brutal slugfest against a Thraxian heavy assault team that nearly crushed them through sheer firepower. But they won. They kept winning. Group 17 reached the semifinals on a streak of 7 consecutive victories. The arena crowds started recognizing them. The betting pools gave them reasonable odds. Croc was flying high on adrenaline and glory. Then Drax issued his challenge. It came during a public training session, broadcast across the Academy network. Drakes, resplendent in ceremonial armor that probably cost more than Maya's entire education, stepped into their practice ring uninvited. "Group 17, he said, his voice amplified by the arena's acoustics. "You've impressed the masses with your unexpected rise, but before we face your team in the semi-finals, I have a proposition." Bragg stepped forward. "We're listening." "You're human, Maya Chen." Drax's mercury eyes fixed on her. "I've watched your matches. You're competent for your species. I'll grant you that. But you're being carried by stronger teammates. Everyone knows it." Maya felt heat rise in her chest, but she kept her expression neutral. "So here's my offer," Drax continued. "Face me in single combat before the semi-final match. No weapons, no armor, just skill against skill. When I win, as I inevitably will, your team forfeits the semi-final, saves everyone the time and embarrassment of watching you get crushed." The arena went silent. Thousands of eyes turned to Maya. "And if I win?" she asked quietly. Drax laughed, a sound like crystal bells shattering. "If you win, Group 17 advances automatically to the finals. But we both know that won't happen. You're a Deathworlder who can barely handle standard gravity. I'm the most decorated student in Academy history. This isn't a fight, it's a public service." Craig grabbed Maya's shoulder. "Don't do this. It's a trap. Drax doesn't make offers he can't win." But Maya was staring at the Velkar prince, and something cold and sharp had settled in her gut. 6 months of being called weak. 6 months of being told humans didn't belong. 6 months of proving herself ever and over while still being treated like a mascot. "You want a real fight?" she asked. Drax smiled. "I demand one. Tomorrow, main arena. I accept." The crowd erupted. Rekthag looked horrified. Sarah's tail coiled tight with anxiety. But Maya felt nothing but calm certainty. She spent that night alone, reviewing everything she knew about Velkar physiology, combat styles, and psychology. Drax was faster, stronger, more experienced. He had every advantage except one. He'd never fought someone who grew up on a planet actively trying to kill them every single day. The next morning, Maya walked into the arena wearing nothing but a training suit. No weapons, no enhancements. Just her and whatever she could remember from a childhood of survival. Drax waited at the center of the combat circle, looking like a predator about to claim easy prey. The referee, a neutral coordinator species, explained the rules. Fight until submission or incapacitation. No lethal techniques. Begin on the signal. The signal came. Drax moved first, blindingly fast, his clawed hand sweeping toward Maya's throat in a strike designed to end things immediately. Maya wasn't there anymore. She'd spent 20 years learning to dodge falling trees, flash floods, apex predators, and gravity that wanted to crush her into paste. Drax's attack, fast as it was, telegraphed like a billboard. She slipped inside his guard, drove her elbow into the nerve cluster behind his left knee that she'd identified in her research, and used his own momentum to send him stumbling. The crowd gasped. Drax recovered instantly, spinning into a kick that would have decapitated a Thraxian. Maya ducked under it, swept his supporting leg, and watched 2.5 meters of Velkar superiority hit the arena floor with a thunderous impact. "Get up," she said quietly. "You demanded a real fight." "I'm just getting started." Drax rose, and for the first time there was something other than arrogance in his eyes. It was fear. Drax circled Maya with newfound caution, his silver scales rippling in the arena lights. The crowd had gone from anticipatory cheering to shocked silence. In the VIP section, Commandant Vex leaned forward, his tail motionless for the first time anyone could remember. "Lucky strikes," Drax muttered, though his voice lacked conviction. Let's see how you handle sustained combat. He attacked again, this time with calculated precision instead of overwhelming speed. A feint high, strike low, followed by a grappling attempt designed to use his superior mass. Classic Velcor tactical doctrine, perfected over centuries of warfare. Maya had read about it last night. She rotated with his momentum, used his own grip against him to create leverage, and suddenly Drax was airborne. For half a second, the most decorated student in Academy history flew through the air with an expression of Alatus bewilderment. Then he crashed into the arena floor. Again, Maya didn't gloat, didn't showboat. She simply reset her stance and waited. Earth's gravity is 1.3 times standard galactic measure, she said, conversationally. That means every single day of my life, I've been training under conditions 13% harder than this. Every step, every movement, every breath. You wanted to know what a Deathworld does to its children. It makes them stronger than they have any right to be. Drax climbed to his feet, breathing hard now. Blood, darker than human blood, trickled from a split on his forehead. You think gravity is enough? I've trained since I was 4 years old. Elite instructors, military conditioning, genetic optimization. Yeah? Maya smiled without humor. I had a planet that spawned hurricanes, earthquakes and predators with fangs as long as your arm. Beat that curriculum. He came at her again, fury overriding strategy. This was the mistake Maya had been waiting for. Angry opponents made errors. Desperate ones made fatal ones. She let him get close, absorbed a glancing blow that would leave bruises for weeks, and drove her fist into his solar plexus with every ounce of strength her Deathworld body possessed. The impact sounded like a bass drum. Drax's eyes went wide, his mouth opened in a silent gasp, then his knees buckled. Maya caught him before he collapsed completely, lowering him almost gently to the arena floor. Yield, she said quietly, for his ears only. There's no shame in it, but yield now, or I'll make this hurt worse. For a moment, pride warred with pragmatism in Drax's mercury eyes. Then he tapped the floor twice, the universal signal of submission. The referee's voice boomed across the arena. Victory to Maya Chen of Group 17. By the terms of the challenge, Group 17 advances automatically to the tournament finals. The crowd exploded, half roared approval. The other half shouted protests and accusations. Maya helped Drax to his feet, supporting his weight as medical staff rushed forward. How? He whispered. How did you move like that? Because every day of my life was harder than your best training session, Maya replied. You prepared for combat. I prepared for survival. There's a difference. Commandant Vex appeared beside them, his expression unreadable. Miss Chen, that was illuminating. Drax, report to medical. We'll discuss this later. As Drax limped away with the medics, Vex studied Maya with those liquid mercury eyes. You understand what you've done? Beat your son in fair combat, humiliated the favorite in front of 10,000 witnesses, made enemies of everyone who bet against you, and now you'll face Team Alpha in the finals, a group that's won 3 consecutive tournaments and has been studying your techniques for weeks. Vex's tail swished once. I hope you're prepared for the consequence. Maya met his gaze without flinching. I've been preparing my whole life. Group 17's celebration that night was subdued. They'd won advancement to the finals, yes, but now they faced an opponent that had demolished every team unlucky enough to face them. Team Alpha consisted of 6 Drayan warriors, each a combat specialist with kill counts in active military service. They didn't just win matches, they annihilated opponents. We need a new strategy, Sator said, her coils tight with tension. Everything we've used so far, they've seen, they'll counter it. Then we do something they haven't seen, Maya said. She'd been thinking about this since the challenge match ended. We change the entire approach. Instead of playing to our strengths, we exploit their expectations. Crag frowned. Explain. They expect heavy assault from you, speed from Syrah, engineering solutions from Jex. They've got counters ready for all of it. Maya pulled up holographic recordings of Team Alpha's previous matches, but what they haven't prepared for is chaos. Unpredictability. Humans are endurance hunters. We don't chase prey by being faster. We chase by being relentless and completely insane from the prey's perspective. You want us to be unpredictable? Talvor looked skeptical. Against the most disciplined team in the Academy? I want us to be human, Maya said. All of us. For one match, forget your species advantages. Fight like you're from Earth. Adapt, improvise, overcome. Make them react to us instead of executing their perfect plan. It was insane. It violated every tactical principle the Academy taught. It required every team member to abandon their training and trust in something as nebulous as human instinct. Crag was silent for a long moment. Then he grinned, showing teeth that could bite through starship hull plating. Screw it. Let's be Deathworlders. They spent the next 5 days training like nothing the Academy had ever seen. Instead of formations and doctrine, they practiced chaos. Random attacks from impossible angles. Feints that made no tactical sense. Movements that violated viscid energy use in favor of psychological impact. Jex rigged explosives that served no purpose except confusion. Ryan and Talvor learned to fight without their usual calculated precision, embracing messy brawling. Sarah practiced strikes that ignored optimal targeting in favor of theatric intimidation. And Maya taught them all the most important lesson Earth had given her. Survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the one still standing when the dust settles. The night before the finals, Commandant Vex summoned Maya to his office. The room was austere, decorated only with commendations and weapons from 100 campaigns. Sit, Vex said. It wasn't a request. Maya sat. You've caused quite a disruption, Miss Chen. The betting pools are in chaos. My son refuses to speak to me. And Team Alpha has filed 3 separate complaints about your challenge match, claiming it violated the SID of competition. Did it violate the rules? No. Which is the only reason you're sitting here instead of being expelled. Vex leaned back in his chair. I've reviewed your entrance examinations. Top percentile in tactical analysis. 98th percentile in adaptive problem solving. 72nd percentile in raw physical capability, which is extraordinary for a species operating under enhanced gravity. Is there a question in there? Vex's tail twitched. Amusement, maybe? Why did you come here? You could have attended any civilian university on Earth, lived a comfortable life. Instead, you chose the one place in the galaxy designed to break you. Maya considered the question carefully. Because comfortable wasn't enough. Earth spends its whole history trying to kill everyone on it. We survived anyway. That means something. I wanted to prove it meant we could compete with anyone in the galaxy. And have you proven it? Ask me after tomorrow. Vex stood, moving to a weapons case on the wall. He removed an object and placed it on the desk between them. It was a small crystal, pulsing with inner light. This is a Calaran meditation stone, he said. Warriors carry them into battle as a reminder of why they fight. My father gave me his before I entered officer training. I'm giving you this one. Maya stared at the crystal. Sir, I can't accept this. I'm not even Calaran. No, but you understand something most students here will never grasp. Strength isn't about physical power or tactical superiority. It's about refusing to quit when every logical reason says you should. Vex pushed the crystal toward her. Tomorrow you'll face opponents who should defeat you easily. They're veterans. You're a first-year student. The odds are impossible. I know. Good. Because I want you to win anyway. Show them what a death world creates. Show them what humanity means. Maya took the crystal. It was warm against her palm. I'll do my best. Miss Chen, if your best is what you showed against my son, Team Alpha should be terrified. The finals took place in the Grand Arena, a massive structure that could hold 50,000 spectators. Every seat was filled. Every screen across the Academy network was tuned in. This was the event of the academic year. Team Alpha entered first, each member a mountain of muscle and scarred scales. They'd painted their faces with war symbols, an intimidation tactic as old as warfare itself. The crowd roared approval. Group 17 entered second. No face paint, no theatrics, just 6 warriors who'd learned to embrace chaos. The arena for the finals was different from standard matches. Instead of open ground, it was a multi-level nightmare of corridors, platforms, and hazards. Gravity fluctuated between zones. Some areas were flooded, others were on fire. It was designed to test every skill a combat specialist might need. The starting klaxon sounded. Team Alpha immediately executed a textbook advance, moving in perfect formation toward the center high ground. It was the obvious strategic choice. Control the high ground, control the battlefield. Group 17 scattered in 6 different directions. What are they doing? Someone in the commentator booth shouted. That's tactical suicide. Maya was already 3 levels up, using handholds that weren't meant for climbing. She could hear Team Alpha's leader barking orders, trying to decide which scattered target to pursue. Confusion. Perfect. Jex's first explosive went off in a corridor Team Alpha wasn't even near. The blast served no tactical purpose except to make noise and draw attention. The second explosive created a smoke screen that blocked visual sensors. The third actually collapsed a platform, cutting off Team Alpha's fastest route. "They're not fighting," the commentator said. "They're just causing chaos." Exactly. Sarah ambushed the first Team Alpha member in a flooded zone, her serpentine body perfectly suited for underwater combat. She didn't try to win. Just harassed, struck, retreated, leaving her opponent disoriented and furious. Crag faced two Team Alpha warriors simultaneously in a narrow corridor. Instead of using his strength advantage, he fought defensively, blocking, redirecting, making them waste energy while he conserved his. It went against every Draenan instinct, but it worked. They exhausted themselves trying to break through his guard. Rhiannon and Talvor played hit and run, appearing from impossible angles, striking, vanishing before retaliation. They turned Team Alpha's coordination against them, making the warriors hesitate, second-guess, worry about friendly fire. And Maya hunted. She moved through the arena like a ghost, using her Deathworld-honed senses to track Team Alpha's leader, a scarred veteran named Grath, who'd survived actual combat deployments. He was the keystone. Remove him, and the team's coordination would fracture. She found him on the central platform, directing his team through a communications device. He never saw her coming. Maya dropped from above, every bit of her earthborn weight concentrated into a falling strike that drove Grath to his knees. Before he could recover, she had his communication device and was already moving. "Alpha Team, this is Grath," she said into the device, perfectly mimicking his voice with an audio modulator she'd borrowed from Jex. "Regroup at position Delta, northwest quadrant." She watched from her perch as Team Alpha, trusting their leader's voice, abandoned their positions and rushed toward the northwest quadrant, which was exactly where Crag, Sarah, and the others were waiting. The ambush was beautiful. Team Alpha walked into a coordinated assault from opponents they thought were scattered and disorganized. By the time they realized the deception, 3 of their members were eliminated. Grath figured it out then. His roar of fury echoed across the arena as he realized he'd been manipulated by a first-year human using tactics that violated every doctrine he'd ever learned. "You think you're clever?" he snarled, searching for Maya. "Come down here and fight with honor. Honor is for people who can afford it." Maya called back. "I'm from a death world. We fight to win." She dropped into the arena floor, landing in a crouch that would have shattered bones for most species. Wrath charged, all discipline abandoned, pure rage driving him forward. Maya didn't try to match his strength. She used his momentum, his anger, his certainty that he should be winning. Every dodge, every redirect, every strike designed not to damage, but to enrage further. The remaining Team Alpha members closed in, trying to support their leader. But Group 17 was there too, and now it was 3-on-3, with Grath so focused on Maya that he'd become a liability to his own team. Sarah eliminated another opponent with a submission hold that cut off oxygen. Crag outlasted his opponent in pure endurance, waiting until the Draenan warrior's muscles failed from overexertion. Talvor and Ryan worked together to trap the last Team Alpha member in a zone with fluctuating gravity and simply waited for physics to do their work, which left Grath and Maya. "You've lost," Maya said, circling the massive Draenan. "Your team is down. You can yield with dignity." "Never," Grath spat. "I don't lose to children. I don't lose to humans. I don't Then I guess you're learning something new today." He came at her with everything he had. Decades of training, combat experience, physical superiority. It should have been enough. It would have been enough against almost anyone else. But Maya Chen had grown up on a planet where the atmosphere could kill you, the wildlife could eat you, and the geology could swallow you whole. She'd learned to survive tsunamis, earthquakes, and predators that made Draenan warriors look cuddly. She'd learned that survival wasn't about being the biggest or the strongest. It was about being the one who refused to die. Grath's final attack was a devastating combination that would have ended most opponents. Maya absorbed it, let it hurt, let it drive her to one knee, let Grath think he'd won. Then she surged upward inside his guard and delivered a strike to his throat that collapsed him like a puppet with cut strings. The arena went silent. The referee's voice cracked slightly as he made the announcement, "Victory to Group 17. New tournament champions. The crowd's roar was deafening. Maya stood there, breathing hard, barely believing it had worked. Around her, Group 17 was celebrating, screaming, hugging each other. Krug picked her up and spun her around despite her protests. "We did it," Sarah was shouting. "We actually did it." "You did it," Krag corrected, setting Maya down and looking at her with something like awe. "You crazy Deathworld lunatic. You actually did it." The awards ceremony was a blur. Commandant Vex himself presented them with championship medals, and when he placed Maya's around her neck, he leaned in close. "You proved your point, Miss Chen. Humanity belongs here. Never doubt it again." The celebration lasted 3 days. Group 17 became celebrities overnight. The media wanted interviews. The betting pools wanted to know how they'd pulled off the impossible. Other students wanted to know their secrets. Maya gave them all the same answer: "We fought like humans. That's all." 6 months later, graduation approached. Group 17 had remained together, their bond forged in impossible victory. They'd be assigned to different units across the galaxy, elite positions earned through championship glory. The night before graduation, Maya found herself alone in the arena where she'd beaten Drax. The lights were dimmed, the space was quiet. "Reflecting on your triumph?" The voice belonged to Drax, emerging from the shadows. His wounds had healed, though pride might take longer. "Reflecting on the journey," Maya said, wondering if it was worth it. "Was it?" She considered the question. "Yeah, I think it was. I proved humans can compete, that we're not just Deathworld survivors but actual warriors." Drax stood beside her, looking out at the empty arena. "You taught me something that day. I'd been told my entire life that superiority came from genetics, training, resources, but you had none of those advantages and still won. It forced me to reconsider everything." "What did you conclude?" "That maybe the deadliest weapon isn't physical strength or tactical genius. It's refusing to accept that you've lost." He turned to face her. "Your species is terrifying, Maya Chen. Not because you're strong, but because you're too stubborn to quit." Maya laughed. "High praise from the second-best fighter in Academy history." "Second best," Drax agreed with a wry smile. "A position I've made peace with." They stood in companionable silence for a moment. Then Drax extended his hand, human style. "It was an honor being defeated by you." Maya shook it. "The honor was mine. You demanded a real fight. I just gave you what you asked for." Graduation day arrived with perfect weather. Maya stood with Group 17 wearing their medals with pride, ready to take on the galaxy. Commandant Vex gave a speech about honor, duty, and the warrior spirit. But Maya barely heard it. She was thinking about Earth, about her mother's face, about every person who'd said humans were too weak, too fragile, too limited. She was thinking about a scared girl on a shuttle, wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. And she was thinking about the warrior she'd become. After the ceremony, as families celebrated and tears were shed, Krag pulled Group 17 together one last time. "We're being scattered across the galaxy," he said. "Different assignments, different wars, different lives, but we'll always be. Group 17 will always be the team that showed the galaxy what Deathworlders can do." "What humans can do," Maya corrected gently. "Let's be specific." "Fine," Krag grinned. "What humans can do when they're properly motivated and slightly insane." They all laughed. They'd earned it. Maya returned to Earth once before her assignment began. Her mother cried when she saw the championship medal. Her father, usually stoic, couldn't stop smiling. Her younger siblings bombarded her with questions about aliens and battles and whether she'd really beaten someone twice her size. "It's all true," Maya told them, "every impossible bit of it." "Are you going back?" her mother asked. "Yes. The galaxy needs a few more Deathworlders keeping things interesting." "Then make us proud." "I already did," Maya said. "Now I'm going to make them respect us." 6 months after graduation, reports started filtering back to Earth. Commander Maya Chen leading mixed-species strike teams in frontier conflicts, using tactics that made no sense until they worked perfectly, turning impossible situations into victories through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. The galaxy was learning what Earth had always known: humans didn't survive by being the strongest or the fastest or the smartest. They survived by being absolutely unwilling to quit. And sometimes that was the most dangerous weapon of all. Years later, the Academy's combat curriculum added a new course, Deathworld Tactical Analysis. It studied how species from high-gravity, hostile environments approached combat differently than those from garden worlds. The primary case study was Maya Chen's tournament victory. And every student, regardless of species, learned the same lesson. Never underestimate someone from a planet that spends every day trying to kill them, because they've already survived worse than you can imagine. And they're not afraid to prove it.